This is ICASTnews.com, live and direct from United Nations headquarters in New York City. And this is At the Stakeout. Members of the UN Security Council are working to make words work. They've been working on this Thursday and all day Friday. The world and the World Press Corps has been waiting to see what the Security Council, meeting behind closed doors, can do with words to stop killing. It's a week in which the bombing, strafing, raping, poison gas use in parts of Syria were so extreme that the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, issued a report with blank pages saying simply, there are no words. At issue is the fighting in eastern Ghouta. This fighting outside of Damascus is an attack by the Syrian army, backed by the Russians, on one of the last strongholds of rebels. And the words about what's going on there are stark. The reports are chilling. But Vasily Nebrizhin, the Russian ambassador, says that the world and his fellow ambassadors have embraced a psychosis brought on by a news media that is encouraging the idea that the Syrians are only bombing hospitals and that there's no one else there to fight, and that the West has been ill-informed by an information war. What is East Ghouta? Take a look at our map. Look at our map. It's a series of towns and villages to the east of Damascus. The eastern Ghouta situation, Mark Lowcow, the United Nations Undersecretary for Humanitarian Affairs, has said, has airstrikes, mortars, rocket barrel bombs, cluster munitions, chemical weapons, thermite bombs, suicide bombs, snipers, double attacks on civilians, and attacks on the essential infrastructure they depend on, including hospitals and schools. Rape and illegal detention are featured. Torture, children recruitment, and sieges of an entire city are reminiscent of medieval times. There's been called for a 30-day ceasefire to allow medical evacuations and humanitarian aid to get in. But the Russians have threatened a veto. The Russians have, in backing their allies in Syria, Bashar al-Assad, vetoed over the last 7 years 11 measures. So busily, overnight, the Swedish ambassador and this month's president of the Security Council, the Kuwaiti ambassador, have been working hard to draft language that they can get a consensus on. A consensus at a time when even the President of the United States, who is not known for saying bad things about Russians and is not particularly concerned with humanitarian issues, said today, I will say what Russia and what Iran and what Syria have done recently is a humanitarian disgrace. Trying to remove the disgrace and get Russia not to veto a measure is what has kept people waiting all day long. And it's led to a certain level of frustration. The Security Council has packed up its papers, and we're waiting for people to come out to give us a sense of just what is happening. Here comes the two men who've been trying to lead the Security Council into some kind of agreement. Let's see what Sweden's Ulf Skog and Kuwait's Mashur al-Otabi, the 2-point men on trying to get an agreement hammered out, have to say about what happened today and what might happen in the future. They didn't vote today, which also means that nobody vetoed something today. Let's listen in.
Now under the presidency of Kuwait, and we will work tonight and hopefully, we'll definitely come back tomorrow, and we will vote tomorrow and hopefully adopt the resolution then, which is meaningful but consensual.
Ambassador, what was the gap? What was the gap?
What are the main differences in that?
Look, I think we all agree that there needs to be a ceasefire, that it has to be urgent, immediately. There is still some discussions on exactly how to define that. And so that's what we're working on.
Ambassador, what's your view of the Russian position? Because one of your colleagues who's not been here in New York today, Nikki Haley, has just tweeted, unbelievable that Russia is stalling a vote on a ceasefire. How many more people will die before the Security Council agrees to take action? Would you agree with that sentiment?
I'm extremely frustrated with the fact that the Security Council, that we have not been able to adopt the resolution to try to alleviate the suffering of the Syrian people. Yes, I'm very frustrated with that.
But so there will be a vote tomorrow?
There will be a vote tomorrow.
One way or the other?
Yes.
Not.
Until now, we don't have a consensus.
But even if there's no consensus tomorrow, you'll still
we will vote on the draft
Have you
resolution
closed-
tomorrow.
Have you closed any of the gaps in positions?
We were very close.
What are the main differences? Like
OP1, but I cannot go in details. Yes. No.
So demands
OP1,
aside-
we are.
Well, clearly the word frustration on the part of Mr. Skog is mixed with a sense of anticipation that something better may happen tomorrow at noon, according to Ambassador Al-Atabi. It may be that other nations are waiting for their governments back at home to approve final language. It also may be that the Russians, who've been stalling, insisting on modifications and whatnot, are sending in one final big wave of bombing and unhuman activities. We know that so far that in the last few days, 462 casualties have been recorded in the villages and towns of East Ghouta. The president of the Security Council says that there is almost a consensus, that there almost is a closing of the gap on languages between the two sides. That probably indicates that we're not going to have a veto. What it does not tell us is how many loopholes there will be in whatever resolution is passed, consensus, and then voting. Tomorrow will tell the tale. But so far, this has been good diplomats working hard to make words work. And the stunning thing that you rarely see, UNICEF not saying anything, blank pages saying words fail. Let's hope when the Security Council gets together to vote on a resolution putting in a ceasefire that words do not fail. For ICAStNews.com, live and direct from United Nations headquarters, for At the Stakeout, watching the resolution on the Middle East, on Syria, I'm Jonathan Sanders.